So here's the situation. The year is 1969. You live with your roommate Callum Hood in Dallas, Texas. Callum's in this band called 5 Seconds of Summer, 5 Sauce for short. The other band members are in the UK, and they all have a concert in London coming up in a few months. But with the band's bass player an ocean away, that's a problem. Everybody talks about the golden age of aviation going on around you. Luxury, food, flight attendants, the works. You want to take part in this craze, but you both don't like commercial flights, so you want to fly yourselves from Dallas to London. You are both private pilots with third-class medicals, instrument rated, have airplane type ratings, flight radio operator certificates, and have each reached 203 hours of solo flight time, so you're legally qualified to take on the journey. All you need is an aircraft, and while you have plenty to choose from, the ranges aren't very good, and you don't want to be running out of fuel over the Atlantic Ocean. So you pick the Grumman Gulfstream G1159 with its incredible range, pressurized cabin, and extensive navigational equipment, including but not limited to low-frequency, mid-frequency, and high-frequency radio with CellCal, ADF, and VOR receivers. Now to pick an airport. You and Callum live 10 minutes away from the Greater Southwest International Airport and would like to charter a Gulfstream for your flight. So you break out your phone book, give the FBO a call, verify they have Gulfstreams available for private use, then you go to the FBO, do a test flight with an instructor, and make sure they're confident enough that you won't break the plane. Then you select the one you want to rent, get the tail number and specs, and head back home. You both know you want your final destination to be London Heathrow Airport, but to decrease the amount of ocean you have to cross from Dallas to London, you plan to add a stop in the northeast. You're not sure where you want to go, so you ask Callum for advice. He says, "Well, the lads and I went to a Boston Red Sox game and played a gig there last year, and my sister flies out of Logan Airport in Boston whenever she travels, so I'd pick Logan Airport." While you were at the FBO, you picked up some low-en-route and high-en-route charts, a map of U.S. Airways, an airport facility directory for the Texas and Boston areas, and a conic chart for the North Atlantic area. With these charts, you map out a basic route you'd like to take to Boston. You make note of various frequencies you'll need along the way and verify that Boston has the refueling services you need. Before you know it, it's the night before your trip, and you don't know the weather along the way. The Dallas 5 o'clock news forecasts the next few days to be partly cloudy skies. That sounds good, but you have no clue about the weather in Boston or London. You remember Callum's sister lives in Boston, so you call her and she tells you about the dry weather that Boston is forecast to have. With a greater sense of confidence, you and Callum go to bed early.
It's always you and Callum this, you and Callum that.
Hey, Callum.
You and Callum bring your packed bags and legal documents to Greater Southwest Airport and have a speedy trip through security, head to the FBO, and receive an updated weather briefing. PIREPs show low cumulus clouds in the vicinity of the airport, but no convective activity along the route or any signs of adverse weather except for some moderate turbulence. After filling out and filing your flight plan for this leg, you both find out which runway is in use, get clearance, pre-flight the airplane, and are
4, 3, 2, 1, lift off.
You use your low-frequency, mid-frequency radio to continuously monitor weather from nearby airports, and the turbulence slows down to provide a relatively smooth ride to Boston. You follow the airways you had planned, and just shy of 3 hours after you took off from Dallas, you're finally in contact with Boston Tower. You request and are cleared for a precision approach into Boston, and upon landing, you enter the FBO to refuel and get an updated weather briefing for your transatlantic leg. The briefer shows you the current North Atlantic tracks and helps you follow your international flight plan. After taking off, you cross the U.S. boundary, receive your oceanic clearance, and join the track Yankee. It is now nighttime, and while you and Callum admire the airplanes in the night sky, you switch to high-frequency radio upon your coast out point and establish connections with Shanwick. To help reduce the amount of time spent listening to, you use CellCal to be notified when ATC wants to speak with you. You give position reports every hour, and after crossing 30 degrees west of longitude, you switch to Gander's Flight Information Region frequency and continue until you reach your coast endpoint. Before you begin your descent into London, you listen to the ATIS and establish connections with Heathrow Approach. As you get closer to the airport, you primarily use VOR navigation to enter from the south. After being cleared for your arrival, you descend as requested and then execute a non-precision approach for runway 5 right. Once you park at London's FBO and complete your shutdown checklist, you close your flight plan, log your total flight time of around 11 hours, and go through UK customs, which takes little to no time at all. Once everything is done, you meet up with Callum's bandmate Ashton outside the airport, and the next day, 5 Seconds of Summer plays an absolutely grooving gig in London.